Welcome back, everyone. Because of the holidays this week, I will not have a normal upload schedule of video content for you. So for today, I'm going to be doing an update on cases that I've reported on this past year. Cases where the outcome has been shocking, where there's been leniency shown towards the perpetrator of the crime, and other crimes that have just not been solved yet. So let's take a look at it. And thank you for joining me today. The first case that we're going to take a look back on is the Butterfields, the murder of Tony and Catherine Butterfield in Utah, Provo, Utah, the suburbs of there, to be exact. What happened in this case? Early morning hours, a perpetrator had broken in to the Butterfields' home. And this person who had broken in was most likely, from what the police initially gathered, was looking for items that they could steal to most likely sell. A loud noise was heard within the home, which alerted Tony Butterfield. Tony Butterfield grabbed his self-protection sidearm pistol and went down from the second floor where his bedroom was with his wife and went down to find out what the noise was. He was overcome by the actual perpetrator in his home, and his gun was taken from him. He was then shot and murdered with his own sidearm. The perpetrator then went a little bit more up the stairs, because the stairs went up this way and then they turned. He went up the stairs and shot and killed Catherine Butterfield. Their minor children were both home at the time and sleeping when all this happened. The perpetrator then ran down the stairs and out the back door, sliding glass door, and got away. Initially, when police showed up because of neighbors had reported hearing gunshots from the home, they found both of the Butterfields dead in their home, in the hallway and on the stairwell. The perpetrator seemed to have gotten away with this at first, but quickly the police attention turned to two individuals, a husband and a wife, and a car that had been seen in the area. This car had been seen in the area previously because it was someone the Butterfields knew. They did not know this person well, but they knew this person. The police quickly zeroed in on this person and these two people, I guess, their husband and wife team. When they confronted the wife about where her husband was, she initially lied to the officers. And then when the officers left, she quickly gathered up the items that he needed and she drove him from Provo, Utah to Southern California. Then returned home and continued to cover up for her husband where he was. This didn't work out very well for her. The police were on to her. Her story didn't match at all. She was arrested for obstruction of a police officer and other misdemeanor crimes associated with this. They eventually found him, the husband, the murderer, in Southern California, arrested him, and he was brought back to Utah to stand trial. It didn't take long for him and his attorney to quickly reach out to the prosecuting attorney's office and ask for a plea deal to try to get some kind of leniency on sentencing and total incarceration. So, with that in mind, they went forward with the trial because what the defense wanted and what the prosecution wanted were totally different. He wanted in and out in less than 30 years. They weren't going to go for it. They knew they had an airtight case against him. Forensics. They had witnesses. They had the gun. They had the car. They had the trace evidence in the car. They had things that were just never going to be able to be explained away in court. They went to court. Court case started. Then the defense realized just how much of an uphill battle they had. They took a plea deal. He was charged with aggravated murder, 2 counts. And he was looking at possible death penalty in this case in Utah. Yes, Utah still has the death penalty. So he would not get the needle in Utah. He took a plea deal of 2 counts of aggravated murder, pled down, and he must do a minimum of 52 years in prison before he can be eligible for parole. More and more states have decided to put a moratorium on the death penalty and taking everyone who has been sentenced to death and giving them the sentence of life without the possibility of parole. In this case, he didn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison knowing there was no chance of him ever getting out. So he took the plea deal. His wife was sentenced to 102 days in jail for obstruction of a police officer, lying to a police officer. And her case and her plea deal, they dropped 3 felonies and 4 misdemeanors that were levied against her at that time. They also dropped the prison term that she was facing, and she must do 3 years of probation, minimum, all 3 years, no time off for good behavior. Not that it's going to be possible for her, because both of them are career criminals. Yes, and I know, the outrage. How can she get probation? Well, the reason why the DA decided to give her probation instead of prison time is because she does have minor children in her home. Yes, she should have thought about that before she decided to help her husband try to get away with murder. But that is the update on the Butterfield case out of Provo, Utah.
So the next update is going to be on the Delphi case. The murders of Abby and Libby. What is new in the Delphi case? There's been a lot of speculation out there, a lot of rumors that the Delphi murders were committed by an individual who had a warrant for his arrest for a rape. He had a standoff with police. He was shot and killed. They believe, a lot of people are still speculating, even months and months and months after all that took place, that he is still the person. I've seen the videos. Thank you for sending me the links to them all. But no, he was not the perpetrator in this case, and he wasn't even listed as a person of interest when it came to the actual case itself. He, from what I hear from, I don't know if they've publicly ever, said, look, this guy wasn't even on our list of people that we were looking at for in this case. But now he is dead, and he is not the person that they believe committed these crimes. So what's new besides the, dispelling the rumors on the case? Sorry about the sound from my turn signal. I'm driving, so obviously. Well, the police have last statement was they still are receiving tips and following up on all leads that they have been given in this case. They will continue to do so. They really believe and are zeroing in on the fact that this person, whoever committed this crime, the murder of Abby and Libby, is from the area somewhere nearby. Somebody knows this individual, or they know this individual by either the sketches, they think they know him, or they absolutely know that this is the person. Because right after this case would have happened, this person would have been, they would have been acting differently than they believe that normally would have. So they believe that, there are certain, when people do things like this, these crimes like this, there's nobody, unless you're a true sociopath, not psychopath, sociopath, get that right, get the definitions right, look it up on Google and what a sociopath and a psychopath are. They believe that this person would have, showed signs of being disturbed by what they had done. And no, there is nothing else in the entire state of Indiana or anywhere around there that matches the this actual case, an MO at all. Now, is there a possible, is the other rumor, is there a possibility that Abby or Libby knew this person from somewhere, from a store, from a nearby community center, through maybe a friend of a family member? I mean, anything is possible, but that means that the person is definitely in the area of Delphi, and that they committed this heinous crime, and everybody around them is keeping their mouth shut. Yeah, maybe it's somebody that you just wouldn't think of, as a suspect. You would say, well, you know what? It's Uncle David, or Pastor Scott, or somebody along that line where you hold them in high esteem, and you wouldn't think that they would be capable of committing such a heinous crime. That could possibly be it. It could be something like that. Why no one is coming forward with the information. But this person didn't just show up in this case, in this area of Delphi, and not have a knowledge of the area. It's not that park and that walking trail along the train tracks is not something that anybody from outside the area would know about readily. You can't say, well, you know what, you were just there and driving through town and you found it. That's not going to happen. It's not something that's that's well advertised, and nor is it even on a lot of like the state databases for hiking and scenic trails. Yes, it is on the historical registry of landmarks, the train trestle that they are on, but it's not something, again, that everybody knows about. So, dispelling one more rumor that the family has raised a lot of money, and has been misappropriating it for their own uses, buying new trucks and taking vacations. Man, that is probably one of the most hurtful things that anybody could ever say, about the victims of a crime and the family, the remaining family of the victims of a crime, that they would do something like that, to benefit themselves at the cost of what happened to them. I am here to absolutely make sure that you, in case you ever hear that again, you call out and you scream at your computer screen or your cell phone. This is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. 100% of the money that has been donated for the park and in Abby and Libby's names to the GoFundMe and everything else is accounted for. The only person who has been able to access the money, there's 3 people total who have access to the money, but nothing has been taken out for anything other than for the park, to pay bills for the building of the park and the designs of the park. That's it. The rest of the money is all accounted for. 100% of it is accounted for. Nobody has spent even $1 to buy a cup of coffee. Not that I think that the family needs to buy a cup of coffee, because just about everybody in town is still, this is on their minds every day. And everywhere around Delphi, there are still posters, billboards around that says, hey, do you have a tip, a lead, anything at all? Maybe you heard something. Call us, tell us, give us anything. The police have even listened to psychics and clairvoyants and, you know, people who say that they can distance see. I'm not sure if that's the same thing, but that's how they described it in the actual press release. The police haven't made any official announcements anymore. Until they actually get something really concrete, they're not going to. But again, the Delphi case has not been solved. And the murder of these two best friends drags on the hearts and minds of everybody in the Delphi area, and especially their family and their extended loved ones from the area. But it drags on the hearts and minds of so many others out there, like myself, who want justice for this family, who want them to be able to rest in peace and to find some kind of closure. So, unless you're just a keyboard warrior, you want to, shoot off a bunch of, lies and hate towards these people who you've never met and would never meet, and who would do just about anything for you and your family if you were ever in need. That's what kind of families these are. They don't deserve the hate. They don't deserve the lies. They don't deserve this stuff to be happening to them. So that's what's going on with the Delphi case. Not much. Next, we'll talk about Lori Vallow. So again, I'm driving. Hope you can see me and all that good jazz. You hear me? All right, update on Lori Vallow and Chad Dumbbell. Chad Dum Dum, as some people have started calling him. What's new in that case? Well, nothing really new to update on Chad and Lori, per se. They're both awaiting their day in court. The state of Arizona released a statement. I don't know if, again, I'm not sure if it's an official statement, but they definitely released a statement saying that when it comes to Chad and Lori, that they are still investigating the death of Lori's third husband, Joseph Ryan. That Lori is still a person of interest in that case, in his death. But when it comes to, did she actually have a physical hand in killing him? Well, Lori has never, that we know of. Now I'm talking about factual information here. We have no proof that Lori actually killed anybody in her entire life. She has had a lot of people do a lot of her dirty work her entire life. Now I'm going back to the, I don't want to call it a scandal, but it was definitely some foul play that took part when she was doing beauty pageants. And when she was younger, there were a lot of accusations that she, played some dirty pool with other contestants, trying to sabotage them, I guess, in certain ways, or, just not being an all-around good sport. So, Lori, she is the person of interest in Joseph Ryan. I don't think she actually killed him. If anybody had a part in actually poisoning him or killing him, it would most likely have been Alex Cox, at her hand. I mean, don't forget, she tried to kill Alex Cox once before, and she had, her brother, Lori had Alex Cox try to kill him once before at a custody agreement arrangement where they met in a parking lot to exchange Ty Lee. They showed up with Ty Lee, and Alex Cox got into it with Joseph Ryan and refused to give him Ty Lee, and then used a stun gun on him, not once, but twice. You can read it for yourself in the court records. He stunned him twice, and then after the second time, he threatened that he would kill him if he ever got in the way of Lori and her relationship with Ty Lee. Now, Joseph Ryan did spend the next, 5+ years fighting for custody of Ty Lee. He went broke. He lost his job. He lost his savings. He lost his retirement. He spent everything he could to try to get his daughter back. But in the end, he ended up dying before that actually, that case was ever resolved. So, if anybody killed him, actually had a physical hand in it, it would have been Alex Cox. But I don't know if there's any evidence they'll ever come out to be able to prove that. And yes, Joseph Ryan was cremated. Lori refused. She was listed as the next of kin, medical person who makes medical decisions for him. She refused to claim Joseph Ryan's body and made the state actually cremate him and go from there. So, I don't know. She probably did it because she didn't want to have to pay for it out of the insurance money. It's a lot easier to claim and keep all the money for yourself because she's a narcissistic, little twit. What else is there? Chad Dumbbell. Sorry for the noise there, passing a semi. Chad, he's a fool. He's a fool who got involved with a Black Widow. So, Lori, person of interest. Chad, nothing much there new there. He's going to be trying, anything and everything. If he's smart, he would get the hell away from Lori and roll over on her. Unless he is actually the person who called for the deaths of the children, and they're not going to give him immunity on that if he really did, or and nor do I think that they're ever going to give immunity on anybody in this case, because if they did give immunity on this case, the other person say, as soon as they got immunity, excuse me, could just simply say, well, I was the one that had the kids killed. The other one didn't know about it. And that's something that I'm pretty sure that the state doesn't want to ever be involved in, is giving immunity to someone who then rolls over and says, well, I was the one that killed these people, these kids. Nothing much new there. Now, Melanie Pulowski, or Melanie Pulowski, or however you pronounce it in your area, and you pronounce the name, I don't care. Pulowski, whatever her name is now, or whatever she wants to go by legally. She's in a custody agreement with her ex-husband, who was shot at again most likely by Alex Cox, who tried to kill him. And that case is just finally wrapped up. They decided that she can have custody of her children, shared visitation in custody. She does not get sole custody of the children. Now, her ex-husband had been paying child support the entire time, even though he had the children, because the state, they drag their feet. If they know anybody that's ever gone through a custody case and child support case, they drag their feet on this stuff a lot because there's so much bureaucratic, bullshit involved. Everybody's got to make a fucking living, right? Sorry for my language, but that's the way it is. Everybody's got to make a living, and there's so many bureaucrats in the way in the system when it comes to paying, child support, and take care of your children, or not taking care of your children, or getting an adjustment on your child support, or paying for your child support, or receiving child support. There's so much of a thing in there, and if you ever go outside the system, and I know people who have, they can come right back unless you get the other person to agree 100% that that's exactly what you gave them. They can fight it and drag it out and keep on coming after you for more and more money. Even if you can prove with any other means, pay stubs, or and money order stubs, or canceled checks, or whatever. Even if you can prove that, you can't prove that they actually received it unless they agree to it. In a lot of cases, and I'm talking about across the United States. Of course, it may be different in your area, but whatever. That's here nor there. He had been paying full child support the entire time that the children were with him. So now the state is they stopped the enforcement on him, and now they're going to go back and they're going to drag on again even longer the agreement, now that he only has to pay 50% of what was agreed upon. But she got shared custody of the children, so that's where that is at right now for that case. Next up, quick little update on good old Chrissy Poo Watts. Yes, I know, and I'll tell you on the next one why I said I would never do another video on that monster again. But here I am, not even a week later, doing another update on him.
Never say never. That's what I've learned. By an overwhelming majority of people who tell me at the same time that they're sick and tired of updates on Christopher Watts and his family and the entire drama and tragic events that unfolded in this case. At the same time, the same people who tell me that they're sick and tired of it are the same people who turn around days later and ask me, is there an update? As sick as tired as I am about talking about Christopher Watts, or even mentioning his name, or reading his name, here is a quick update on Christopher Watts. 1. The GoFundMe. The GoFundMe that was open to raise money for Christopher Watts' defense was closed down. And I had spoken about this in a live stream recently. The GoFundMe, I got a response back from GoFundMe themselves, and I will tell you exactly what they said. The GoFundMe account that was associated with this, for raising money for his defense fund, was closed by GoFundMe, and every one of the contributors were refunded back the money. No money had been taken out of the account before they closed it. It was closed for the following reason. It is against our policy to raise money for certain aspects and certain legal defenses. We understand that people want to help an individual with legal funds or a defense fund, as this one was actually titled. But we found several violations from within the actual statements that was on the GoFundMe that led people to believe the funds would be used for something completely different. This is why we have since suspended this GoFundMe. That's end quote. So what was the issue? In the actual description itself of the actual GoFundMe, it did say that the funds would be used for a legal defense for Chris to gain a new trial. But also in the description, it listed that some of the funds that would be used for other things, transportation and purchasing of items for Chris. They snuck that in after the initial GoFundMe was started, and this is why it was closed. Because people thought they were donating to a defense fund for Chris, and then they found out we're buying ramen and snacks and stamps for Chris, and this wasn't what they agreed to. So they closed it down because of that. Could they start a new one? Yeah, but they decided they have to play by the rules. So you can't sneak stuff like that in as an update later on to say, hey, now that we've got, a couple $1,000s that we've raised, let's sneak in that we're going to be using some of this money, in an update later on to say we're buying snacks and stamps and stuff for Chris. So, but 100% of the money was refunded back to everyone who donated to the GoFundMe. And yes, it was around $2,400, $2,433, something like that is what was in the account last time I had seen it. That is the Christopher Watts update. I've already updated on the insurance money, so there's no need to go into that. And that's it. That is it for the updates on the cases that I've reported on this past year that people wanted and asked for updates on. If there is a case that you wanted to see an update on that I didn't cover in this series, in an update today, I'm sorry. I will try to do another one in the future. Leave a comment down below and let me know what case I covered in 2020 so far that you would like to hear an update on. So, in the meantime, everyone have a happy Thanksgiving and stay safe out there.